EDC, or everyday carry, does not mean that you carry every single item every single day. This is the Urban Sentinel, and let's get into it. Now, what you see here are some various EDC items that I have and that I've carried, but I'm putting these out on display to kind of show you what is or isn't part of my everyday carry ensemble, as it were. Now, first off, we've got a trauma pack here. It's basically a first aid kit in a bag. It contains, everything from duct tape, bandage dressing, gauze, that sort of thing, an all-in-one type of kit. I usually have that in my go bag, and I've got one inside my vehicle, so I'm always able to have something like this with me. Next up is a tourniquet. Self-explanatory, part of the whole stop the bleed issue. So in combining these two, you pretty much should be able to handle things above an ouchie or a boo-boo, as it were. Over here, plain and simple, pocket knife. Cutting open boxes, things like that. That's pretty much what I use it for. It does have self-defense purposes, but you should always have some type of bladed implement on you. And of course, flashlight for illumination. This one I've had, I can't even remember how long. It's quite simply one of the better flashlights I have, and I will tell you honestly, I got it at an auto parts store at the register. I don't even remember the name of it. I just know that as long as I put in new batteries, this thing keeps on working. Pocket lighter. I'm not a smoker, but I've used this in the wintertime to heat up vehicle keys, to basically unfreeze locks. I've used it to temporarily weld or meld pieces of plastic together to do temporary repairs, to make adhesive a little more tackier and stickier on surfaces that I've used. The Leatherman tread, a Leatherman on your wrist, various wrenches, screwdrivers, everything that you would commonly need to use can be worn on your wrist. A Gerber Multitool. This one is the NXT extension, suspension rather. I've had this for a while. I've used this off and on. Primarily pliers and a few of the other implements are the key things that I utilize on it. My Streamlining wallet, which compared to my traditional bifold and trifold leather wallets is significantly smaller. It kind of forces me only to keep the essentials that I use on a regular basis in it. And this pretty much, if I ever happen to have any cash money on me, money clip holds it in nice and tight and secure there. My vehicle keys. Seatbelt cutter, glass punch, it's one of those emergency rescue vehicle escape devices, and a monkey fist, a type of self-defense item. This way, in the event that I'm trapped in my vehicle, the keys are going to be in the ignition. I can pull and detach this, cut the seatbelt off, use it to break the window glass on the driver's side so I can make an escape. And lastly, my back pocket kit, which is kind of a multi-function. The little pouch itself I got from H&D Hide and Drink. Inside the zipper pocket, I've got a small first aid kit that is a much scaled down version of this. It really only handles basic cuts and scrapes. It's literally just a couple of band-aids, gauze tape, antiseptic wipes. I've got a tactical pen in here, notepad. I've got a Gerber pry rig. It's not necessarily a multi-tool. It's primarily just a mini pry bar with bottle opener, and then utility blade. As you can see here, it's got some rust on it, mostly because it's inside this pouch and it's in my back pocket. And then I've got a small flashlight here. And you say, well, why do you have a flashlight here and you've got that one? And it's not the case of 2 is 1 and 1 is none. With a lot of EDC, it's not specifically that you have to carry all of those things with you all the time. You tailor and cater what you're carrying for the environment that you're going to be in. Yes, there's those unexpected things that pop up and you can never be too well prepared, but there are times where you don't need to be weighed down carrying an entire hardware store of equipment. So you look at what you use often, what you use the most, what you're most likely going to need. that you may carry on you. I'm not a fanny pack person or an off-body, keep it in a bag type of thing. The go bag that I have, it basically sits in one spot. I don't bring it with me. So yes, in those circumstances where I might need the tourniquet, that's on me for not having it on me, because I used to be the Batman belt carrier, the guy that had every single possible thing that he could ever use on every single square inch of his belt, in the pockets, everything like that. And you know what? After a while, that kind of gets to the point where you start paring it down and minimizing what I carry in my everyday carry to the extent of certain things that I need makes it much easier, much more efficient, because I know what I have. I don't have to search for anything. And I'm really not a fan of stuffing everything into my pockets. It's pretty much the wallet that you saw, and then the lighter, those are in the front pockets, and then that small knife clips inside the front pocket, so it's not really sitting in it. The only thing I have in my rear pockets is that one pouch with the notepad, the tactical pen, that pry bar, and that light, because the larger flashlight I stopped carrying. It used to be in my back pocket, and if you notice on the front of the light itself, it's got this nice crown here, which serves another purpose, self-defense purpose, but it also wears away at the material in your back pocket, putting holes in there until it gets to the point where it's ruined the pocket. Now, what I will say is utilizing the multi-tool, I still do quite often, and there have been a few times where I didn't have it on me and I had to make do with what I had to make do, and I'm looking to switch back to that. But the pouch carrier itself, it's seen some better days. It's seen some better days, so I'm going to have to be looking to switch and upgrade. But that's the key thing you have to think about with EDC. It's not always about being able to immediately handle any situation. Sometimes you're just not going to have what you need to get the job done, so you have to learn to make do and adapt to it. But it is about having the right tool that you are going to use. So in minimalist everyday carry, you would want to have things that can perform multiple functions. So the Gerber pry grid, which is good, and I've used it, it's great for scraping things, prying open things literally for its name, and a few other things, but it lacks the certain features in direct comparison to the Leatherman tread in terms of, let's say, a Phillips head for a screwdriver, or being able to use it as a wrench of some sort. And that, of course, the tread lacks in comparison to the actual multi-tool that I have with the pliers on it. So across the board, there's never going to be one specific item that does everything. But if you can get a combination of 2 or 3 things, even with the flashlights, the larger one is better, it's brighter without a doubt, but it's also bigger and heavier in comparison to the small one that I have in here. So this one, tinier, lighter, and you see the two. Now, granted, this one's brighter. I can adjust the focal area far better than I can on the small one. But in terms of using it just to illuminate a darkened area, if I'm working on a vehicle or I'm trying to see something that fell under some furniture, that small flashlight does the job. I'm not trying to signal the International Space Station, so I don't necessarily need to have the brightest flashlight available. In the same fashion that I don't need one of those $300 flashlights that you can drop 120 feet onto concrete and then dive underwater for 200 feet with it. I have no need for that, so it's something that, for me, 10, 12, 15 bucks, that's about my price range. I tend to keep a lot of what I carry in that low end range for 2 primary reasons. One, I can't afford to go super expensive, and for the amount that it may cost for something like that, although it may be a higher quality item, I can get 2 or 3 other things in my EDC and be able to sort of fill the gap that I need. And to give you an idea, this tactical pen, I believe, cost me, I think, 12 bucks. And you can say you can get multiple packs of big pens and even some of those other decent writing pens for a lot less, which is true. But I don't carry pens in a shirt pocket because not all of my shirts have a front pocket. And the plastic pens, when they're in that particular pouch or any place else where there's a bend point basically in my waist, in my pockets, they tend to break. That being aluminum, it does not break. And keeping it in the pouch prevents it from making holes in my pants pocket or slipping out, because I've had that happen before where the clip itself wasn't strong enough to keep it in place and began to bend and give a little bit as I moved and walked about. So I keep that on. Having the double use of it's a good pen, I can replace the ink cartridge that's in there, and it serves as a tactical pen in a defensive sort of position. Now I carry the notebook on me because I'm still a pen and paper kind of guy. I do have those notes apps on my cell phone, and I do use that for numerous other things. But realistically, if I don't write it down, I'm less likely to either remember it or to remember to open up my phone, go into the app and look at my, shit to do list and go down that list of everything that I have left to get done or need to get done. So primarily, this is my everyday carry in this overall configuration. And as I said before, I'm looking to switch this out and go back to carrying this if I can get it to fit properly. If not, I'll look for a new pouch for it. And I know a lot of the channels out there, when you're looking at EDC, they always feature a handgun as part of it. Well, I'll tell you this plain and simple. I spend about a third of my day at work, and my work environment is non-permissive for certain things like firearms. So I don't carry it on me, so it's not really part of my everyday carry. When I do go out and I'm not working, I do carry a firearm, and it also, again, depends upon where I'm going, how long I'm going out, and quite honestly, it also depends upon the weather and my mood. My standard carry is a semi-auto, but I'll carry a revolver. I'll choose to carry an extra magazine if I'm carrying the semi-auto. Sometimes I just have the one that's in the gun itself. Same thing with the revolver, and it also depends upon the weather. Hot weather versus cold weather determines which holster I'm going to use based upon the clothing and the layers that I have. All those things I play into a factor. So yes, for me, firearm is still part of my everyday carry, but again, it's one of the tools that is not specifically carried on me every single day. So when you think about everyday carry, you want to minimize the stuff, as it were, that you have, because also too, you got to pack all that stuff up with you. If you change clothes, if something happens, if you're going into a place that is non-permissive, you've got to start unloading and dumping things. You've got to switch out depending upon what you're doing, the type of equipment that you use. It becomes more of a hassle, and when that happens, you tend to not carry the items as often or at all. Which then that does lead to those situations where you wish that you had it on you, but it's a little too late, and sometimes you can't quite figure out what you're going to do, because in that immediate moment, if I only had this item on me, then I can handle the situation. But that's par for the course, as they say. So I've got some ideas on how I'm going to rework my EDC carry, jazz things up a little bit, but still keep it within my normal parameters of operation. And I'll probably do another video on that and go over some of the different types of EDC and setups that you could possibly do, whether you put in your pockets, you carry them in a bag, you keep them staged in different vehicles or different locations throughout your house, apartment, whatever it is. And it's also those things to think about. If you have places that you can secure EDC type of materials and keep it safe, you've got a locker at work or at the gym, something like that, then you always have access to something. It may not be everything, but you'll have something in a location that you can be reasonably confident that you can get to. And that's it for this one. I'll catch you guys in the next one.